9 days before he died, he posted a video of himself throwing punches in the Hawaiian sun. He wrote 4 words, "I don't age. I level up." 9 days later, he was gone. The man the internet had declared dead a dozen times had finally, quietly, passed away on a Tuesday afternoon. And what he left behind made his family weep in a way no one expected. This is not a story about roundhouse kicks. This is not a story about memes. This is the story of a broke kid from Oklahoma who built a $70 million empire, fought one of the most powerful TV networks in history, hid a secret for nearly 30 years, and almost lost everything, not to an enemy, but to 3 medical injections. I'm going to tell you the full story. The parts the headlines missed. The parts that actually matter. Stay with me. On March 19, 2026, Chuck Norris was rushed to a hospital on the island of Kauai, Hawaii. He had been vacationing at his oceanfront home on the North Shore, a property he and his wife Gina had loved for years. Hours after that emergency hospitalization, he was gone. He was 86 years old. Now here's the thing, the internet had declared Chuck Norris dead at least a dozen times before this. In 2023, viral YouTube channels claimed he died in a car accident. During COVID in 2020, Facebook posts declared he had passed. Every single time, he was very much alive. So when the real announcement came, it felt almost impossible to process. His family issued a short, careful statement. They asked for privacy. They didn't reveal the cause of death. But one line stood out above everything else. "Thank you for loving him." Not, "Thank you for watching his movies." Not, "Thank you for the ratings." Just, "Thank you for loving him." That one line tells you more about who Chuck Norris really was than any film ever could. Before the $70 million. Before Walker, Texas Ranger. Before a single punch was ever thrown on screen. There was a boy in Ryan, Oklahoma, so shy, so withdrawn, he described himself as neurotic. Carlos Ray Norris was born on March 10, 1940. And he almost didn't survive being born. He entered the world as what doctors called a blue baby, dangerously low on oxygen. His mother, Wilma, was a devout Christian woman who raised 3 boys almost entirely alone. His father, Ray, was a World War II veteran who came home broken and turned to alcohol. He disappeared for months at a time. Chuck later wrote that when his father was absent, the house actually felt calmer. The family chased work from Oklahoma to Kansas to California. Chuck graduated from high school in 1958. A slightly built, non-athletic teenager who, by his own words, had never succeeded at anything truly difficult. Nobody who knew him then would have predicted what came next. Chuck enlisted in the Air Force in 1958, the same year he married his high school sweetheart, Diane Holchek. She was 17. He was 18. The Air Force sent him to South Korea. And that is where everything changed. He stumbled into a Tang Soo-do class at Osan Air Base, and was completely transfixed. He trained 4 hours a day, 5 nights a week, under a Korean master named Shin Jae-chul. In just 13 months, he earned his black belt. He later wrote, "For the first time in my life, I had accomplished something difficult on my own." That sentence is everything. Martial arts didn't just give Chuck Norris a skill. It gave him a belief, the belief that he was capable of hard things. And once a person internalizes that, they spend the rest of their life finding hard things to attempt. When he was discharged in 1962, he started teaching karate in his parents' backyard. Within a few years, he had built a chain of over 30 karate studios across Southern California, with celebrity students including Steve McQueen, Priscilla Presley, and Bob Barker. He became a 6-time professional karate champion and won the Karate Triple Crown in 1969. And then, one night in New York City, he met Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee spotted Chuck at a 1967 tournament at Madison Square Garden and tracked him down afterward. They trained together in Lee's Los Angeles backyard for 2 years, constantly debating, constantly pushing each other. Both of them improved because of it. Then Lee called in a favor. He was directing a film in Rome, Way of the Dragon, and needed someone to play the villain in the climactic fight at the Roman Colosseum. The Italian government had denied permission to film there. Lee filmed anyway, illegally, over 5 days. When Chuck asked who wins the fight, Lee looked at him and said, I don't want to beat the world champion. I want to kill the world champion. The film cost $130,000 to make. It grossed an estimated $130 million worldwide. Chuck Norris became globally famous for being defeated on screen by a man he called the greatest martial artist who ever lived. After Bruce Lee died in 1973, Chuck spent evenings with his family, telling young Brandon Lee stories about his father. It was his student, Steve McQueen, who finally pushed him toward acting full-time. McQueen told him directly, "You have the presence. Now learn the craft." Chuck enrolled in acting classes at MGM. His first film paid $10,000. When no studio would distribute his second film, Good Guys Wear Black, he and his producers rented the theaters themselves. Shot for $1 million, it earned $18 million. Hollywood could no longer ignore him. Walker, Texas Ranger premiered on CBS on April 21, 1993, and it nearly died immediately. The original production company went bankrupt during the first season. Only 3 episodes had been completed before the funding collapsed. The plug was moments from being pulled. Then CBS saw the premiere numbers. A 16.5 rating. A 27 share. That meant over a quarter of every television in use that Saturday night was tuned to a show about a karate-kicking Texas Ranger. CBS scrambled, found new partners, saved the show. What followed was 9 seasons, 203 episodes, and the first primetime drama in American television history filmed entirely in Texas. Chuck controlled creative direction. He insisted on moral storylines consistent with his Christian faith. He employed his brother Aaron as co-producer. He sang the theme song himself. His deal included $375,000 per episode and 23% of all profits. Across 203 episodes, his acting fees alone approached $76 million. Syndication multiplied everything. USA Network paid $750,000 per episode in 1997. The show aired in over 100 countries. Total franchise revenue exceeded $692 million. And then, it got dark. In 2018, Chuck sued CBS and Sony, alleging they owed him over $30 million in unpaid profits. His legal team discovered that CBS had structured its streaming deals specifically to avoid triggering his participation clause, and had not reported a single dollar of streaming revenue to him since 2004. The case dragged through courts for 5 years. In July 2023, it was settled. For an undisclosed amount. Whatever CBS paid to close that case is now part of the estate his family is inheriting right now. Chuck Norris built his brand on a very specific image. Strong, faithful, family man, Christian conservative. And for the most part, that image was real. But there was one thing buried inside it that he kept completely hidden for nearly 3 decades. In August 1962, while awaiting his Air Force discharge in Riverside, California, Chuck met a woman named Johanna at a bar. He did not tell her he was married. Their brief relationship produced a daughter named Dina, born in February 1963. Johanna discovered the truth, raised Dina entirely alone, and married another man. When Dina was 16, her mother finally told her the truth, but gave her one instruction. Do not make contact. He has a wife. He has children. Do not interfere. For 26 years, Dina carried the name of a father she had never met and honored her mother's wishes. Then Chuck and Diane's divorce became public in 1989. 2 years later, Dina wrote a letter. Chuck's memoir describes walking into his living room and seeing her standing there for the first time. He wrote that in the instant he saw her face, he knew, without any test, without any documentation. I didn't need DNA or blood tests. He saw his own face looking back at him. They both wept immediately. And then he wrote the line that became one of the most quoted things he ever said outside of a film. There might be illegitimate parents in the world. I know because I was one. But there are no illegitimate children. Dina was fully welcomed into the family. And the man behind the legend turned out to be far more human than any myth ever allowed. In late 2012, Chuck's wife Gina underwent 3 MRI scans within 8 days to evaluate rheumatoid arthritis. Each scan required an injection of a contrast agent called gadolinium, designed to pass harmlessly through the body within hours. In Gina's case, it never left. Within hours of the first injection, she described her entire body feeling like it was on fire, as if acid had passed through her veins. Emergency room visits, burning sensations throughout her body, violent tremors, kidney damage, loss of function in her left arm, cognitive problems, muscle deterioration so severe she was surviving on baby food. Doctors tested her for cancer, ALS, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis. Every result came back negative. Gina did her own research. She concluded the gadolinium had deposited permanently inside her body. When she told her Houston medical team, they dismissed her. She told them once, clearly, "I have been poisoned, and if you don't act, I will die." Chuck described seeing death in her eyes. He contacted an integrative physician in Reno, rented a private plane and a paramedic, transported Gina across the country for chelation therapy. Testing confirmed her gadolinium levels were, in the doctor's own words, literally off the charts. Chuck slept on a couch beside her bed for 5 months. He read her 17 books out loud. He flew her to China for stem cell treatments. He told interviewers plainly, he had given up his film career to keep her alive. The total cost from 2012 to 2017, approximately $2 million, almost entirely out of pocket. In 2017, they filed a $10 million lawsuit against 11 pharmaceutical companies. Both testified before the FDA. The FDA subsequently voted to add new warning labels to gadolinium contrast agents. The European Medicines Agency suspended 3 products entirely. The lawsuit was voluntarily dismissed in 2020. No settlement. Each side paid its own fees. He didn't get the money, but he may have saved thousands of lives. So what did Chuck Norris actually leave behind?